every minute of it was time well spent, and I would do it over again in a heartbeat.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Rei Perovic, and I am a brand coach and consultant working with coaches and consultants to get clear on who they are as a business and then also express their brand in alignment with that clarity. Today, I have Nancy Jacoby, one of my dearest clients, and I'm going to interview her about our branding journey. Welcome, Nancy. Thank you for taking the time to do this.
Of course, I'm happy to.
Tell me about yourself.
I am a registered nurse by trade, and I'm also a recovering hospital administrator. Healthcare for, 20 some odd years, both at, as I said, bedside and in various progressive leadership positions, primarily in academic medicine. And I've been on the strategic planning, business development, and operations sides of the business. So I've really gotten to see a lot of healthcare. Yeah. And, it's funny because, I was always having fun in my career, but at the same time, I always dreamed about having my own business. Mm-hmm. But it was never the right time to leave and do it. So another promotion would come up or another exciting project would come up. And I'm like, I can't do this right now. And who walks away from a paycheck, right? But when I got laid off, and I finally got a chance to chase my dream. So here I am. I'm starting year 2 of my business. I can't believe it. And I'm having a blast.
Can you tell me a little bit about who you work with and why?
Sure. So as I said, because of my healthcare experience, it's only natural to concentrate on the healthcare industry. Right now, a lot of my work is with, hospitals and related healthcare organizations, working with their teams or working with their physician and nurse leaders in a coaching engagement. Sometimes they're a part of a physician leadership development program or a nursing leader development program. So, primarily I'm concentrated in the hospital, clinic, ambulatory care center environment with an eye on expanding to different parts of the healthcare industry, different sectors. And, my ideal client within that niche, my ideal client is somebody who is really ready for change, who's kind of tired of the status quo. And, somebody might say, well, what does that mean? Ready for change, right? So for an individual, it could mean that they're finally ready to take on a coaching engagement to help them with their professional development. Or perhaps it's, a leader who has a staff member who needs some development through coaching. Or, it could be a team that an executive has that they know that just is not functioning well, and they want to finally bring in somebody to get them some help. Or you always have the people who run around and say, this process is broken, and they've finally said that's enough. We're going to fix it. So, again, it's somebody who really is ready to move forward and take action, and who's going to be determined and committed to making the change real and making it last.
Yeah, I know that whole concept of people who are ready to make that change kept coming up in our work too, right? Yeah. So tell me about the challenges that you're facing when you came to me. What were you hoping to solve?
Well, I remember I had my laptop on my couch and I was going to write a promotional flyer, and I'm sitting there and, obviously you get the obvious parts, right? Your name, your phone number, your email. It's like, woohoo, easy victory, right?
Yeah.
I started trying to write about like what I do. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, I know who I am as a person. That part's easy, but what do I do? Like, who do I serve? What do I do? And I found that I just, I could put the words down on a page, but I couldn't answer the question with any sort of certainty or clarity. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I was unfocused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was sitting there thinking, well, how can I go to market and talk about myself when I can't even sit here and with my laptop on my couch and talk about myself. So I said, this is a problem.
Yeah. And how did that challenge make you feel?
Well, I mean, at first I was like, oh, well, now I'm kind of stuck. What do I do? I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And also part of, I think it's funny because I think of coaching with everything now. So part of Gestalt coaching is, understanding where you are and accepting where you are so that you can move, right? So realizing that, okay, I'm stuck. Stuck. What do I do now? So there was some comfort in knowing and realizing that I can't do this by myself. I think I need some help.
Mm-hmm.
So that part helped me move, where it was reassuring to know that I didn't have to figure this out all by myself.
Yeah, and I also love that about you. And we're coaches, right? So most of us are solopreneurs. And when we hear things like, think of yourself as a brand, I think it's natural for a sense of resistance or even an eye roll to come up. So I'm just curious, what inspired you to go through this branding process?
Well, I think it's that, and you're right about the resistance, but what made me want to go through the process was, I needed that clarity. If I was going to be successful, then I needed to have this clarity, because it was almost like the beginning of the domino, right? Where if you have this one standing up, all the other ones are going to stand up. Where if you have this one falling down, all the other ones are going to fall. So that's what really inspired me to go through the process. And I don't know if you remember when I met you at an ICF event.
Yeah.
Said, oh, she's going to be my branding coach.
Yeah, it was very, very
I just knew. I said, that's the person that's going to help me do this.
So can you tell me a little bit about our branding journey together, the experience?
Sure. Yeah, what I really appreciated, and this is what I've told other people too, is that you're not just a branding consultant, you're also a coach. So you have the skill and the ability to take people through a process of self-discovery, throughout the branding process, and do it in a way where, you're holding a space for people to just be who they are and explore who that is.
Yeah.
So I really liked reflecting on some of the stories that I had from my executive career and how that shaped what I now know as my brand. So that was one part of the experience that I really liked.
Thank you.
And I really liked the archetypes, because I felt like it was just where we landed was just such a true reflection of who I am, right? Yeah. So, with that process of telling the stories and exploring, who I liked to work with, in my career, and who were my best bosses, and what were some of the experiences that I had, it really, really cemented those archetypes for me. And I really felt like I could just walk into them and I could own them. And it was a good feeling.
We had a lot of fun, right?
We did. I try to remember that one of them has to ride in the back seat. They can't ride shotgun.
Yeah, because it was the difference between who you are and who you choose to be as a business as well, right?
Sometimes it has to be that way, depending upon, if I want to serve a certain client, right? So you have to know yourself and then know your audience, which is a fundamental concept of communication, right? You have to know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
But I think also what was helpful about it is it gave me a jumping off point for, some iterative ways about how I talk about my business and what I do. So having that foundation also gave me room to move to talk about the different things that I do in my business. So this is who I am as a brand, but then knowing that, it's a great jumping off point for talking about what I do.
Yeah. So that's why I think the foundation is very important, because you can take then many inspired actions off of it, right? So what else changed for you after going through this process together?
I would have to say that I had more confidence in who I was as a brand. So when you have more confidence, you're able to go to market and really talk about yourself, right, as a brand, because you know who you are.
Yeah.
So I was more comfortable on sales calls, and I hate to use the word, on pitch calls, to prospective clients, because I was owning who I was and I knew who I was. And I also was very comfortable in telling some people, no, I can't work with you because I'm not the right coach or consultant for you. Because I knew who I was, and who I was not going to serve them in the best way. And I felt comfortable walking away from that and telling them I'm not the best person for you. I'll find somebody for you. But also on the flip side is finding somebody who does mesh with your brand, and then having that wonderful working relationship because you are in alignment on who you are and what the client wants and the shared values that you have.
And speaking of that alignment, you are one of the most brilliant women I've ever worked with. And it's been so much fun. But for those who don't know you yet, why you, right? There are so many coaches out there. Why would anyone choose to work with you?
You're absolutely right, Ray. I mean, coaches are a dime a dozen, consultants are a dime a dozen. We are everywhere. What makes me different for my healthcare clients is that I've done almost everything that they've done. I've lived in healthcare for so long. It's not experiences that you can read in a textbook and relate to. Like I've been in academic medicine for over 15 years. I understand the struggles, the pressures, the politics, the expectations, and having lived in a healthcare corporate environment, and also having been on the bedside, I bring so much relatable experience that helps my clients move because I know the questions to ask. I know the problems that they're having, and I've seen what works, and I can guide them towards what works and make that align with their own goals and their own values and their own expectations.
Yeah.
So it's the experience that I have in so many different capacities in healthcare that makes me different from a lot of those other coaches that you might find. And they're all wonderful people too. It's just about what the client wants and how the coach or consultant can best serve them. I've had clients say to me, you've seen all of these processes, you've lived all of these processes, you can add so much value in helping our team think about this with a different lens or from a new perspective, and you get the challenges, so you're not going to let them put in something that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So that's where the value is.
And I'm just wondering, for coaches and consultants who may be on the fence about taking the time to invest in this branding work, what would you say to them?
Oh, I think it's not even a question. I think that, and it goes back to what I was saying before, if you're not clear on who you are as a brand, most of the pieces aren't going to fall into place. So it's almost like you have to take the time to set yourself up for success and do this work so that you have that foundation that you can build on. And every minute of it was time well spent, and I would do it over again in a heartbeat. It's a worthwhile investment. It's a necessary investment. And I think that, for myself, looking back, I couldn't have imagined working with anybody else. You were just vital to getting me launched in a way that was, successful and true to who I am.
Thank you. That means a lot. I feel like we've been through a lot, up and down, in this turbulent time as well. And it's been such an honor partnering with you.
Oh, well, thank you. I really feel the same way. Absolutely.
Where can people find you?
Well, so they can find me hanging out on LinkedIn. I'm always there. My profile, take a look. They can also find me on my website, njacoby.com. And if somebody wants to get in touch with me about working together or exploring the possibility of working together, they could always email me, nancy@njacoby.com.
Thank you, Nancy. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Bye.
Bye.